What's up, everybody in Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube land? This is JesseBurn, representing Team FTK, and today we're going to be talking about how to combat the meta. So today's discussion is going to be about how to beat Altergeist. So if you guys like this video, do so. Give it a big thumbs up. It helps keep us motivated as well as it helps support the channel. And also consider subscribing to the channel. Ring the bell for more notifications to get videos for Mondays and Fridays. Also, make sure to check us out on PayPal, Patreon, and then look in the description for Inked Gaming. If you guys want to get a sweet playmat or anything else, make sure to do so. Click the link in the description. Use the promo code TEAMFTK10 to get 10% off of your order today. Also, real quick, I know I'm wasting y'all's time by talking about these things, but we have a giveaway for 1,200 subscribers, so if you want to enter that giveaway, click the link in the description, go to that volcanic deck profile, like, comment, subscribe on that video, and it enters you to win. So I hope you guys really enjoy this video. Thanks for sticking around and staying tuned for this video. So today we're going to be talking about Altergeist. They are a very strong control deck, probably the best control deck right now in the format. Probably like number one, and then like number two is like Paleozoic Frogs or something like that. And right now, Altergeist have just won a big YCS, and they're getting a lot of tops regionally, probably countless tops regionally, and throughout the ARG circuit and YCS and everything. So a lot of people have hit me up on Facebook through the, Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube community and everything, and they've been like, hey man, I want to know how to beat Altergeist. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how to combat this deck. So first thing, obviously, is any generic back row hate is really good against Altergeist. So we have, of course, Twin Twisters. You discard one card, you pop two back row. Really good against Altergeist to get rid of some of their floodgates. And then we also have cards like Red Reboot to stop their traps, counter trap card, stop them dead in their tracks. Mystical Space Typhoon will do the job too, and it's also good if you're a Sky Striker player because it helps you get those spells in the graveyard. So MST is really good. It does not negate though. Also, we have cards like Heavy Storm Duster is really good, especially if you're playing a deck that uses a lot of back row and that can abuse the trap mechanic. So if you're playing like Paleozoic Frogs, or if you're playing a deck like Trickstars, you want to set your Heavy Storm Duster, activate it during your opponent's turn, pop their two back row right when they set it. It's a bit of a going first tech, but it's really good because you want to be able to just stop them from playing back row, because Altergeists like to play a lot of back row. So basically some of the cards that Altergeists like to play is Rivalry of the Warlords. They really like to play, and then they like to play the Spellcaster of the Hidden Village, something like that. It's a spell card. It's a field spell card, and it basically makes it where neither player can activate spell cards unless they control a Spellcaster. That's really broken, right? So basically what you want to do is Heavy Storm Duster that card, because you're playing a trap that you can set. You can destroy your opponent's Rivalry of the Warlords. You can destroy your opponent's Spellcaster of the Hidden Village, because it's a trap card, so it doesn't have the requirement of being a spell, but it does have the requirement of it's kind of slow, so you have to set it, and then you can't attack the same turn, so you want to activate it during your opponent's turn. So that's really good, and basically any generic back row will help you, but any generic back row removal, will help you combat this matchup. So Heavy Storm Duster is one of the cards that I think will really help you, especially if you can play a lot of back row, like playing Paleozoic and Trickstars like I mentioned before. But also if you want to play like more of a budget-friendly deck, like a Burning Abyss without playing like Dangers and all that, you can put in your Heavy Storm Dusters, and it would be good just to pop back row to get over things like that. Also, they have a lot of strong Altergeist trap cards that are really a problem. There's one that says that your opponent can't stop the activation of Altergeist monsters. Like, it's really broken. It's really good. So the way that you want to get over that is you want to be able to hit it with the Twin Twisters like was mentioned before, but also another tech that I thought was really good against Altergeist is Night Beam. So not a lot of people are playing Night Beam, but what it does is it lets you target a set spell or trap card your opponent controls, destroy it, but they can't activate it in response. So you play Night Beam on like their Rivalry of the Warlord or against one of their Altergeist trap cards that are set, and then they can't activate it in response. So they're not going to be like, oh, chain, activate my Altergeist trap card, now you can't respond to my monster's effects. No, that's bullshit. We want to get rid of it so we can play Night Beam, and it's really good. It just gets rid of the back row. It takes care of the problem. So another one that is really good against Altergeist, and this is focusing more on their monsters because they all have all different types in the deck. They have water Altergeist, they have dark, they have light, they have everything. So one of the cards that can lock them out of their monster effects and spamming their monsters is going to be Gos and Mash. So Gos and Mash is like the opposite of Rivalry. It affects being like light, dark, water, fire, wind, those types of things, and that's why Altergeist can't play it. So Altergeist has to play Rivalry of the Warlords, which affects the other text that says like zombies, fiends, all that good stuff. So Gos and Mash is like the complete opposite, and it really helps in the matchup. And if you can main deck it, I would definitely suggest you do if you're not already. So you can like main deck it or side it in deck. Side it in a deck like Trickstars or in a deck like True Dracos, Paleozoic Frogs. You can basically just shut your opponent out with Gos and Mash, and you can stop the Altergeist from spamming multiple monsters. You can stop them from normal summoning the monster, activating a trap, getting a search, special summoning, because at that point they're pretty much just playing one monster against another. And then if you control all the same ones, like if you have all lights in your deck, you're going to be able to spam your field faster than your opponent. It's going to slow them down, and it's going to shut them down a lot. So another card that I wanted to talk about that is back row removal, but it's not necessarily generic, is Trap Eater. So Trap Eater is a level 4 monster, and he basically lets you special summon himself from the hand and destroy an opponent's continuous trap card as well. So it's really good. So he literally does what he says. He eats a trap. So if your opponent has like Rivalry of the Warlords and you have no monsters and you're like, what am I going to do? Special summon Trap Eater, get rid of the Rivalry of the Warlords, have a level 4 monster on field so you can XYZ with it, and you can link summon with it. So it's really good, and it's a dark type, and it just works out for getting rid of certain problem cards. But one of the other main focuses, like I said before, is going to be the Spellcaster of the Hidden Village. I think that's the name. But anyways, you're going to be wanting to get rid of that because it's a real pain in the ass if you're playing a deck like Trickstars, or if you're playing a deck like Burning Abyss and you have Fiends and Fairies, and you're like, okay, what am I going to do to get rid of this card? It doesn't let me activate spell cards unless I have a Spellcaster on the board. So one of my techs that I've been trying online and everything that I really like, that I think really helps against the Altergeist matchup, is Breaker the Magical Warrior. So basically what he does is he's a 1900 beat stick, and you can like remove the spell counter to pop a back row, so it works out really well, and he's a spellcaster, so you can just be like, oh, okay, normal summon Breaker, activate his effect, pop your Spellcaster of the Hidden Village. Really good card. I think that people could be playing it, but I think it's mostly going to be utilized in decks that don't rely on their normal summon. So if you're playing like Trickstars, or if you're playing like, I don't know, Invoked, those are like two decks that heavily rely on their normal summon with Candina and with Alistair. So you're going to want to like normal summon him in a deck that doesn't really rely on, your normal summon. So for example, if you're playing like Dangers, you're playing some weird Danger variant, and all the Danger monsters, you're like, oh, okay, reveal to my opponent, discard, draw a card, fill up my board with monsters, right? But you can't activate spell cards, and your opponent has like, a bunch of other floodgates and stuff to stop it. You can normal summon the Breaker, activate the Breaker's effect, destroy the, Spellcaster of the Secret Village, start playing Yu-Gi-Oh again. Altergeist is really one of those decks that just shuts down the whole game mechanic of Yu-Gi-Oh! And just like disagrees with the way you play, and they're like, alright, so you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh? Ha! You thought. And you thought wrong. Because Altergeist doesn't let you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm all for that. I'm cool with like control decks and like lockdown decks. But there's a lot of people that have problems with this matchup. So there's some other cards that you guys can play as well that will stop your opponent's monsters from getting effects. So like you can play Effect Veiler. Very good. If you guys can't afford Ash, I know it's like a $35 card. We don't know how soon a reprint is going to be. It might be in the future, it might be soon, but Effect Veiler is a good budget option because they're going to also rely on their monsters' effects as well as their traps. So play Effect Veiler, stop your monster effect, you're not going to spam the field. Same for Ash, if you have Ash Blossom. Play Ash Blossom against them. It works out really good. Another card that I wanted to bring to attention that would stop your opponent's back row for Altergeist matchup is Royal Decree. So not a lot of decks can run Royal Decree that run trap heavy builds. So running Royal Decree can really help you if that you have that kind of deck that doesn't run a lot of traps. So for instance, if you're a Mermail player having trouble with the Altergeist matchup, there's a Royal Decree for you. If you're a Sky Striker player, you can probably honestly side in Royal Decree. It just shuts down all your opponent's traps, so Altergeists can't really play without their traps because they do get effects off of activating traps. So it's really good, and it makes it where they can't activate traps. And that also brings us to Jinzo, which is another good option because he's a tribute summon. So if you have a deck that you can use tribute summons in, for example, Burning Abyss is a great example. So reveal Skarm, special summon Skarm, tribute Jinzo. Pretty good, pretty good. So also, Royal Decree and Jinzo are really good options. Really good options for shutting them down. Also, Denko Senko. If you're a Thunder Dragon player, main deck or side deck, Denko Senko. Normal summon, your opponent can't activate set cards. You can't set cards. Okay? Why do you care about setting cards if you're playing Thunder Dragons? The occasional, Imperial Order, really busted. But if you're trying to shut down your opponent from doing anything, Denko Senko will really help you. Really help you. Also, we have monsters in Altergeist that will compulse your monster, and it's not once per turn, and it's kind of like Kirin, the Mage's Spectre monster, and it's ridiculous. So one thing that can help you out against that monster, like we said before, is Effect Veiler, but also you can run Kaijus. And I know it's kind of a waste to Kaiju such a little monster, but if you don't want your opponent to compulse you, you can run the Kaijus, bring out a Gamecill, play Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, play stuff like that. And Kaijus are always good pretty much against any deck. And if you want to get rid of your opponent's monster real quick so they can't do the whole, oh, you control that monster, you're about to link summon, bounce it back to your hand, Kaiju that guy. Kaiju. That's the answer right there. So if you guys enjoyed this video, and if it helps you out, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out. This was JesseBurn representing Team FTK. I really hope that this in some way helped you with your Altergeist matchup. If it did, please let us know in the description if it helped you out. Also, please let us know some of your techs and some of your choices to play against Altergeist.